Hey, welcome. Have you ever walked out of a doctor's office feeling, well, just totally frustrated? Maybe you felt like you weren't heard, or even worse, just dismissed. If that sounds familiar, then you are in the right place. Today, we are going to talk about how to turn those really difficult appointments into a real partnership for your health.
That feeling is just so common, right? Take Joanne here. She's sitting in the ER, she's worried sick about this pain in her side, but she feels completely invisible. After waiting for hours and feeling like the doctor is literally avoiding her, she just gets up and storms out. She's angrier than when she came in, and she still has zero answers.
Or, maybe you've been in Wei Hong's shoes. He's got a serious concern about his heart, but as he goes for a second opinion, then a third, every doctor seems to give him this vague, sometimes totally contradictory information. It's so easy to get to that point where you're just wondering, are there any competent doctors out there?
And then there's this one. Oh, this is the classic, and it is so frustrating. You try to explain a whole list of symptoms that are very, very real to you, just like Warren did, only to get cut off, handed a prescription for a tranquilizer, and told it's just your nerves. It's not just unhelpful, it feels like a total invalidation of what you're going through.
So what's the thread connecting all these awful experiences? Well, it often comes down to this thing called health anxiety. This is where the intense worry about your health doesn't just stay in your head. It can actually create real physical symptoms. And that, right there, is what kicks off that frustrating cycle of going back to the doctor again and again and never feeling satisfied.
Okay, so how do we break that cycle? Here's our game plan. We're going to start by talking about that frustration. Then we'll see why we need to move past the blame game. After that, we'll try stepping into the doctor's shoes for a minute. And finally, we'll build you a brand new game plan for your next visit.
All right, let's dive into that first part, the frustration. If those stories about Joanne, Wei Hong, or Warren felt familiar, it's because this is an incredibly common experience. Seriously, you are not the only one feeling this way, not by a long shot.
You know, when an appointment goes badly, our brain immediately goes here, right? We start trying to figure out who's at fault. Is it me? Am I just not explaining myself right? Or is it the doctor? Are they just not listening?
But here's the thing. Pointing fingers? It's a total dead end. All it does is stir up more anger and resentment, and it doesn't actually solve a single thing. We need a way more productive way to look at this.
So this is the big pivot. This is where we reframe the entire problem. Instead of asking who's to blame, a much more powerful question is the one you see right here. How can I better understand and overcome the problems I have with my doctors? See that shift? It moves us from finding fault to actually finding a strategy.
Now, a huge part of building that strategy involves doing something that might feel a little strange at first. We need to shift our perspective and try, just for a moment, to step into the doctor's shoes.
Really think about it. What are they thinking during these tough appointments? What are their goals? And maybe more importantly, what are their frustrations?
Now, this is really fascinating because it gets right to the heart of how doctors are trained. From day one of medical school, they are trained to be problem solvers. They want to find a clear problem, prescribe a clear fix, and see a clear cure. In their world, that's what a win looks like.
And this right here, this is where it all clicks. This shows the massive disconnect. You, the patient, feel dismissed and anxious because you're not getting a clear answer. At the exact same time, the doctor is feeling frustrated and totally helpless because they can't give you that clean, satisfying cure for symptoms that are persistent and hard to explain. You're both frustrated, just for completely different reasons.
Okay, so now that we have this new perspective, let's build an actual actionable game plan. This is all about changing the entire vibe of the appointment, moving it from what feels like a conflict to what is actually a collaboration. All right, first up, let's get specific about what's happening to you. Take a look at this list of common complaints. Which of these really hit home for you? Getting super clear on the exact problem is always the first step to figuring out how to fix it. All right, you ready? Here it is, your new 4-step game plan. First, acknowledge their mindset. Just remember, they're wired to be problem solvers. Second, prepare your goal. Before you even walk in, know the number one thing you want to get out of that visit. Third, communicate clearly. Lead with your biggest concern right at the start. And fourth, try the perspective exercise. Actually mentally rehearse the conversation from their point of view.
And let me tell you, that 4th step is a game changer. Here's a quick story. A patient named Lillian used to have these late-night episodes that would always send her rushing to the ER. But then she learned to just pause and ask herself, okay, What would the ER doctor actually say to me right now? And by answering honestly from their perspective, she started to realize her episodes were tied to stress and that she could handle them at home. It gave her all the control back.
Because ultimately, this is what it all comes down to. A doctor's appointment isn't an argument you have to win. It's a chance to build a partnership. The moment you stop feeling like you have to prove you're sick and start working together to manage your health, I'm telling you, the whole dynamic changes for the better.
So that's the thought I want to leave you with today. As you think about your next appointment, what is one small thing, just one, that you can change to start turning it into a real collaboration? Because that one little shift could be the beginning of a much, much better healthcare journey for you.